So we'll move forward. In the words of Iqbal, the ultimate aim of the ego is not to see something, but actually to be something. Now, I'm privileged to invite our next speaker, Dr. Khurram Ellahi, who joined us virtually last year, but we are lucky enough to have him in person this year. He's here to share his thoughts and work on how Iqbal proposed most unique ideas for the world of spirituality. So please join me to welcome Dr. Khurram Ellahi from Islamabad.
So, thank you, everyone. So, primarily, let me inform you, Iqbal was a very different person. He wasn't a conventional poet as we come to know about, who just did poetry sitting in a room, romanticizing reality. He wasn't like one. He was one of the greatest admirers who protected Nietzsche when the whole Christianity was ready to surrender to him. He was the one who stood for him and sitting in subcontinent. 100 best poems were collected for Shakespeare. It was one of the poems of Iqbal which stood out. He was so fond of Shakespeare. Why I do think it is important to understand this particular perspective of Iqbal, because he did poetry in the way most Eastern poets did. Like they were more numb towards the rest of the world. 1919, when Einstein is finding his evidence and Arthur Eddington is searching for that time, it is Iqbal who wrote in 1921 for him in Persian that God has blessed Moses with a new Zoroaster. Have you ever heard someone praising Einstein like that? God has blessed Moses with new Zoroaster because he was working on the idea of time, on the idea of light, because unfortunately, very unfortunately, he got that on photoelectric effect rather than on the idea of time on which he wanted. All hails to Henry Bergson, who snatched that from him, being a philosopher. Interesting thing. So Iqbal isn't the one who received a ready-made truth, just like all of us have. So few of my friends, actually I'm really privileged to have both of you. The people or the Muslims across the world have received a ready-made Quran. They have a ready-made truth, which they haven't lived yet. Muhammad had to wait 40 years. He toiled. He was thinking. He was running in caves. And look, I have the greatest secret with me, and it doesn't affect me at all. Why it should affect me? He just recited the epic, the finality of religion. Did it touch you? This was the question of Iqbal, which all three speakers said about. Knowledge is not to learn something. Knowledge is to become what you know. When your body doesn't hinder to apply what your mind knows, that's knowledge. Okay, I know all about how not to see pornography. I know all the ethics. But do I have a control on that? Am I trustworthy for myself when I'm alone? Am I? So let's start. So there's an interesting poet from where Fatima hails, his Baba Bulle Shah. He was Abdullah, but he was later named as Bulle Shah. And he went to the door of his master and he knocked at his door. And Shah Anayat, his master, said, "Kaun? Who's at the door?" And Bulle Shah replied, "Yahi to poochne aaya hu na." I'm here to ask the same question. Who is knocking at your door? So he was quite much an ancient Sufi, we can call now. But 1953, the situation never changed until we had to find Samuel Beckett. And he was asking us, is this what we had science for, the World War II? And he wrote Theatre of the Absurd. And the question remained same. The two characters, Vladimir and Estragon, are standing on the stage. making mockery of the mankind. And Vladimir, after a lot of boring hours, asked his colleague on the stage, Estragon, are you there? And Estragon said, am I? How should I know I exist? Just because I'm wearing a traditional dress, I have a watch on my arm, I have 2 feet, and I'm wearing a very good shoes on those, and I have a particular degree called as PhD. But all this is not me. This was the central question of God. This was the central question of, Iqbal. He said, I'm not interested to know God. He clearly said that. I'm seriously interested to know who is man. And why do we exist? And why we are thrown to this world without our consent? And why there is so much of reality around us? Why the time never stops for me? And those were the central questions Iqbal lived for. And there was nothing else. So I'll come to Iqbal quite later before we have a thesis. So if what me and Fatima are bringing for, let's say we're bringing as a solution, no one has an absolute solution. But what is the problem at hand? So a problem at hand was so rightly found out by Ray Bradbury, if someone has read him. He has a famous book, Fahrenheit 451, in which you can't slow down. If you would slow down, the police would charge you. And ultimately he asks, why can't I slow down? And he replies, if you will slow down, you will soon realize that pink line running with you is not a pink line. These are flowers. So in the name of efficiency and effectiveness, we're running everywhere, every day. And I'm remembering Yevgeny today. He said, there are beautiful clouds today. Shit. And I can't be rational anymore. I can't be rational anymore because there are very beautiful, fluffy clouds at the top. So few of the theses which Fatima gave, and she came till Adam Smith. But I think the real problem started with the very definition of the modern philosophy when René Descartes said, I think, therefore I am, cogito ergo sum. And all of Khurram Ellahi was moved all the way from the feet, and I was stuffed to my brain because I am a thinking being now, and I don't experience the universe, which I used to do earlier. And that thesis stood so hard that now in contemporary times, we have authors like Antonio Damasio and many others who are writing books, Descartes' error. We're not thinking beings, and I don't exist because I am, I think. And he beautifully said, we exist because you're there. I exist because I assume a clap would come. I exist because I love someone a lot. I exist because I want to listen, I'm been loved. It's not because I think. Thinking has one final goal, and that is to create emotions. This is what thinking works for. So coming back to the key thesis, which we're trying to have, Allama Muhammad Iqbal in his Saki Nama said, Yahi hai maqsad-e gardish-e rozgar. Do you know why this whole universe exists? Do you seriously want to know why there are ultimate number of stars surrounding up there? Ke teri khudi ho tujh par aashkar. So all the planets would be paid off if you will just start noticing yourself. So Jupiter is having a worthwhile time if you will know yourself. If you want to know yourself, the great epic which is written by the Allah from the time of Kun will be paid off. Yahi hai maqsad-e gardish-e rozgar. The whole purpose of this beautiful universe was one thing. Move your eyes towards your own self. But look at this time we're living in. If I ask any of the kid which phone you're using, he would know the exact answer. If I ask them, which watch are you wearing, he would know the exact answer. Your car, how much your car consumes, your last electricity bill. Okay, what is your net worth? How much you earn? You got exact answers to the minute details. And if I ask you, who are you? What makes you happy? Why you're sad? Why do you fear from the gray hair of your mother? Why your heart sinks at the night time? And one of the beautiful verses of Iqbal in Persian, Durun Sinai Madigri Chiala Jibast, God There are certain sounds from my heart every night. Is it you? Is it you again in my heart? And not on a joke. I suffer a lot from sinus and bronchitis. And I said, now only cough comes in my heart. So my topic was very strange. It's universe within inner cosmos. No, I don't have a universe inside. I have organs. I've got 2 lungs, maybe a liver and heart. And my heart has no space for God, because it is so much filled with blood already and scientific evidence, which they have, and they stand true about it. One beautiful verse by Kalame Bahu, Dil daryaon samundron doonge, kaun dilan diyan jaane hu. Heart is deeper than the deepest ocean of this universe, because God has a seat there. But do you think I have one? But do you think I do have a cosmos inside me today? I don't think so, because I'm so greedy. I'm running, I'm finding life. I want to get rich. This proves I'm not worthy enough anymore. Hence, I'm not worthy enough anymore. I find the validations all day long. Going back to one of the philosophers I love quoting about, Diogenes, the barrel philosopher, Aristotle, the great Alexander came and said, ask for anything. And he said, yeah, please move on. Move on. That I can ask you for, because I'm at ultimate peace right now. You think Buddha would have been fooled in this time by meditations, workshops, buzzwords? So for Iqbal, mindfulness is not a pit stop. It is not an occasional retreat of a corporate person. And this corporate person is a term by Erich Fromm, organizational man, a man who has so successfully matched his tie with his socks, but he doesn't know who is he. And he knows about 10 best suitings, but he doesn't know the 10 different names of the God anymore, because he's an organizational man, said Erich Fromm. And we are so sure that God or any higher being doesn't reside with us anymore. We're sure about it. All our sins and evil tell us that God is not Nanu Akrab. So for my colleagues who are from other communities here, there's a famous verse of Quran that God is Nanu Akrab. He's nearer than your jugular vein. So I prove he's not there. While I'm committing a sin, I assure it. So this is what Iqbal said. जब तक तेरे ज़मीर पे ना हो नज़ूल किताब, गिरा कुशा है रूमी ना साहिब किशाफ. Recite kalmas no matter how many times you want to, if you're not living the kalma anymore. And this is why we're coming to a new term, which all these scholars have done in their time. Mindfulness, not braininess. Taira was very right in her speech. Now we know everything. And do you know they're planning up to put a neural link here? So the moment I'll see something, I'll know about it. So unknowability, I would not have the feeling of unknowability. Everything would be present. Remembering Jean-Paul Sartre, there will be no exit for the mankind. We'll know everything. And in the film Lucy, as she said, she knew everything in the film Lucy. And he said, are you not enjoying everything? And she says, what is left to enjoy? What is left to enjoy actually? This is where Iqbal walked in the premier times. 3 major things were happening, colleagues. 3 major changes which Iqbal had, which none other philosophers encounter. Physics was changing from Newtonian physics to quantum. William James' psychology was leaving and the psychology of Freud was walking in. And third thing, communism was going and capitalism was making way again. And Iqbal was looking at the charter of the modern man, which was to be written after these 3 major changes. And he was writing every day that we are having an alienated man. And one of his quotations, I don't want to miss, please listen to that very carefully. Iqbal says, weak finds himself in God and powerful finds God in himself. Whoa. कमजोर खुद को खुदा में ढूंढता है और ताकतवर खुद में खुदा को ढूंढता है. नानू अकरब जो हुआ. And this is not the power and the power of might. This is the power and supreme power of love. You can blackmail a powerful person, but you can never blackmail a lover. He would stand and he would never move. He would never move. So this is where Iqbal walked in and brought all the responsibility back in the hands of mankind. That we're far away from God right now. Okay, there's a plan B. God is up there and you're down here and you're the caliph. Now you cannot be successful only by making your brains powerful. You need to be mindful. You should live your soul. You should leave your feet. Iqbal clearly said, "Haath hai Allah ka banda hai mu'min ka haath." What else is mindfulness? You start feeling your body more. You don't live here anymore. Rather, you transform your being across your body. Haath hai Allah ka banda hai mu'min ka haath. Ghalib o kara, fareen kar, kusha kar, saz. And in one of the famous verses in Persian, God asks Iqbal, "You like my universe?" And Iqbal says, "Nope, not at all. It's entropic." Fatma and we will be having few sessions on Javed Nama where Iqbal says, "Ya Allah, teri kainat itni zalim hai that I gave my parents as a seed and it's not loyal to me. मैंने अपने माँ बाप दफनाए मगर तेरी मट्टी वफा नहीं करती." ये थी इमेजरी इकबाल की, ये थी इमेजरी इकबाल की। वो कब्रों को सीड की तरह भी देख लेता था। And this is where Iqbal said, "I didn't like your universe." And this is a beautiful term few people would know. It's entropic. It decays. It makes everything pretty uglier. It turns water into sweat. It turns food into shit. You want me to appreciate this universe? Look at the courage of Iqbal. And here, God answers to Iqbal. So what are you waiting for, Iqbal? Demolish it. Gira ke rakh do and make a new one. Much prettier, much safer, much lovelier, much prettier. What are you waiting for? And this is from where my inspiration came. My book is there. That especially comes from both of you. Don't leave without that. That Miraj, there's a famous thing in Quran where Rasul went to the skies and met God. Staying on our topic. He transformed the visible cosmos, and Muhammad went and met God. But he never surrendered his being. He went as Muhammad, he came down as Muhammad. And he never fell for the theories of Brahman and Atman. He never felt that I need to be God. He said, "I'm Razi. I'm happy being Muhammad. I'm so happy being this man." So Muhammad went up, met God and said, "Is the meeting done? The people of Arab are still throwing their daughters into graves and I can't stay here." This was the inspiration of Iqbal. Imagine the mindfulness in the presence of Almighty. The Muhammad never surrendered his identity, what he is, the man. And this is where I ask my friends who fall for Wahdatul Wajud, is being man something really bad? Then why would Allah have made me like this? Why I have to be back like him? Why should I cherish the unity with God when I represent the growth? It's my job to change the universe within days and hours and seconds. और मेरे उस्ताद और मुर्शद अहमद जावेद साहब फरमाते हैं, बड़ा आदमी तो वो है फिर जो हर छोटे काम में बड़ाई दाखिल कर देता है। वो पानी नहीं पीते, वो प्यास बुझाते हैं। वो दरवाजा नहीं खोलते, वो दाखिल होते हैं। वो खाना नहीं खाते, वो लज्जत लेते हैं। And mindfulness is not to be by sitting on Himalayas. This is where Iqbal was very different from scholars. You're driving, learn to smile. That's it. There was a time Muhammad would take water in his mouth and wait. There is wahi coming and Rasulullah is waiting to throw it on the kids. And in our tradition, Islam, your prophet in all forms and times and seconds, even the way is coming or not. That was mindfulness. Play with kids. Learn to smile. Learn to cry. This is what Iqbal wanted us to have. This is what Iqbal wanted us to do. And the last verse which I would like to read, when I was at Denmark, I had to read that. Mataye be, it's written, third one on the top. Mataye be baha hai, dardo sozo arzu mandi. Do you know mankind? You forgot to take pictures. Do you know mankind? Sadness is the greatest thing that God gave me, as said by Rumi. खुद को तोड़ोगे नहीं तो रोशनी कहां से दाखिल होगी? I'm not talking about worries. Worry is a very dangerous thing. Rasulullah never liked that. Sadness is a very beautiful thing. It was Vincent van Gogh, it was Pablo Picasso, it was Michelangelo, it was Raphael. They all had one thing with them, the right amount of pain. And I was recently reading a man, Neil Postman. He said, कहां जाकर दरखास्त देनी है कि मुझे सब तुले हुए हैं खुश करने पर? Everyone wants to make me happy. Where should I complain about that? Go to school, they want to make me happy. Go to office, they want to make me happy. Open up TV, they want to make me happy. I don't want that excess happiness. I'm not at circus, I'm at life. Am I at a circus? Laugh. Ha ha ha, laugh. Be more happy. Am I at a circus? And Neil Postman said, soon they'll bring the circus at home. The whole idea of content creation is to make you numb. Stay there, stay there, stay there, stay there. Don't leave the platform. Don't leave the platform. You can't put a YouTube link on Facebook because we want you there. And here we are, the modern man. We have all the answers. We have all the answers. We haven't lived. And we don't have questions. Nothing touches us anymore. I don't know. Last time when we saw the sun, when we saw the stars, I was having chat with one of my friends I made yesterday. God took pledges. Have a look at stars. I created it. Have a look at stars. I created it. But do you know we are home? We're not Homo erectus. We're down. We're all down. What else was Homo erectus? You can't see the sky. You got really good neon boards. Have a look of that. Hazur. Before I end, Matai be baha hai dardo sozo arzu mandi. So I was standing at one of the rooms of Danish Parliament and I was reading this verse and my son and daughter were sitting in front of me and I said that Iqbal says that, thank you Atasa for putting it there. My greatest blessing is that God blessed me with sadness. And if you don't have a sadness, trust me, find one. You don't believe in Islam, you believe in Buddha, please read him out. The night he had an awakening, he went so close to kiss his son. So close to kiss his son. And Govinda was waiting outside. His lips was as near as this. And he put his son back and ran outside and said to Govinda, here I am for the God. And I couldn't kiss my son. And Govinda said, you should have kissed him. We're going on a long pilgrimage. And he said, hey, if I would have kissed him, I would not have been here. His love would have stopped me. His love would have stopped me. All the parents here, can we imagine a Karbala? Baatein hain janaab, baatein. Ghadi na दूं मैं अल्लाह को अपनी. और खलील जिब्रान ने कहा था ये तुम अल्लाह के नाम पर बकरे ज़िबा करते हो, अगर अल्लाह ने कोई और शय मांग ली जो खुद एक दफा मिली हो, कुर्बानी सिर्फ वो कबूल होती है हजूर माजरत से, वो शय अल्लाह की राह में देना जो एक ही दफा आपको दी गई हो. ले ले तो 100 खरीद लो बाद में. Would I give my jawani? Would I give my youth age? Would I give my time? Would I give my these eyes to the modern scholars? I will not. I have some serious business to see at my office, and I'm really occupied. So last verse is Makam Matae be baha hai dardo sozo arzu mandi mukame bandagi dekar nalu shane khudavandi. I cherish so much being a man that I would not give away my manhood even you offer me to be the God. I'm so happy being the man. And then last, thank you so very much, Ataravan Saab. This is part of the talk. Yesterday, we traveled together to the place he told me where he listens me on YouTube. So you won today. We're very few, but important is, and that's the beauty, we're very few. Just imagine if Adam alayhi salam would have complained to God, oh, you sent me down and there's no one here. You should be brave enough to spread the message when there is no one to listen. And one Greek scholar, I'm putting a wrong name because I don't know the exact name, Euripides, he was exiled from Athens for writing against God. And he went out, he drew a line, he said, I'll do my stage here. He was doing his stage there, he was mocking the false gods, and there was one man sitting forward and clapping for him and says, can I have it again? There was one man. And that man was Socrates. Thank you for inviting both of us. Thank you for having all of us. Thank you, Ataravansa, for doing this madness. Thank you for allowing that Iqbal has echoed sublimely to all my little kids who are playing and they don't know what they're listening to. Thank you so very much, everyone, that you have lent your hearts to us, to me and Fatima, in the words for Iqbal and Rumi. और आखिर में मेरा दावा ये है कि अल्लाह से ज़्यादा रहमान कोई नहीं और रसूल से रहीम कभी कोई आएगा नहीं. बहुत शुक्रिया.
From Ellahi, this pinnacle of manhood, maqam-e bandagi dekar naloo shane khudawandi. So this is what really we are. As Khurram highlighted, that sadness reflects love, compassion, and concern. Worries, love, anxiety, dissatisfaction. So we need to seek solace in sadness, but not worries.